Hi there, it's Dr. Embody with Project 3. Now, I've mentioned before, and I'll say it a million times, the focus here is on solving the problem, coming up with the algorithm to do this. And in this case, we're going to be making change. Right? So you've made a purchase. How many quarters, dimes, nickels, and pennies are necessary to make change? And we're going to require that you have the minimum number of coins. And that takes what's known as a greedy algorithm. You do as many quarters as you can, as many dimes as you can, then as many nickels, and then as many pennies to wrap it up. And so that's called a greedy algorithm because we are working with the highest denomination and then the next highest and the next highest. And and that will actually give us, with the U.S. coinage, that'll give us the minimal number of coins that you need. An important part of solving a problem is to simplify it. Now, there's a bunch of requirements for this project, but the core of it is making change. And so let's look at a situation. Suppose I pay $1.10 for let me actually write this down. Suppose the cost of something is $1.10. Right? And I give you a dollar bill. How much change is there? Well, if there's if $1 and $1.10, the difference is 90 cents, right? So I need to make 90 cents change, and I need to do it with quarters, dimes, nickels, and pennies. Right? How do I go about doing that? That's the core of this project. And so, simplifying it, we can just look at this problem to start with. Forget the rest of it right now. And again, we're at the algorithm stage. You can sit down and work this part out with a partner. And the second thing that's very useful, so first thing is to simplify, and the next one is make it real. Sit down with a pile of coins or make paper versions of them and use that to solve this problem. And so what I want to do here is imagine that you set yourself up with a stack of quarters. I'll call them quarters, and a stack of dimes and a stack of nickels. Now let's forget the pennies for the moment because I've got 90 cents that I need to do. How do I go about doing this? Well, I actually give you a couple of possibilities. One is you can say, I can say 90//25, and that gives me how many 25s are in 90, which is 3 with some remainder. Oh, well, that's kind of cute. And what is the remainder after I've done that? Oh, that's what's left over. Okay, there's 15 left over there, right? So that's one way you can do it. Okay. The problem, what makes that a little messy in this case, is suppose I don't have 3 quarters. Suppose I only have 2 quarters. Right? So, but that works fine. If you want to do it that way, do it that way. Another way you can do it is do it iteratively, and it was sort of a brute force way, which is let me take one of these quarters out of here. All right, so I'll make another stack of quarters, and well, if I've used a quarter, that means I've taken 25 cents out of this. Right. And so that means I've got 65 cents left over. All right, well, that's greater than 25, so let's grab another quarter out of there. All right. And now I've got 40 cents. That's still bigger than 25. Let's take another quarter out of there. All right. Now I've got 1, 2, 3 quarters piled up here. And Right? Now we've got 50 cents. That's I can't do that with a quarter. So then we move to our dimes. Well, let's grab a dime out of there. And all right, dime's worth 10 cents. Now we're left with 5. Well, I can't do it. I can't, if I've got 5 cents, I can't do that with a dime. So let's move over to the nickels. Let's grab a nickel, subtract that out. Now I'm down to 0. Guess what? I'm done. All right. And what do I have? I've got 3 quarters, 1 dime, and 1 nickel, and that's what I want to print out. All right. But notice how I did that. So I repeatedly took out 25s out of there. That's a while loop. And then if I can, I will repeatedly take out dimes out of there. That's another while loop. And then and so on. And then I'll do another while loop and so on. And I can go through this process and this is greedy. Do all the quarters, do all the dimes, do all the nickels, and notice, other than the fact that I mentioned the word while in here as being a loop, I haven't, there isn't any Python in here, right? So we're still at the algorithm stage. It's like, what is the Boolean that'll drive this while loop? That's an interesting question. And so let's deal with some of that. Also, notice that I represented the coins that I had to start with. That was my stock. And then I have the coins that I actually grab for my change. Well, I'm going to need variables for these. My stock of quarters, my stock of dimes, my stock of nickels, my stock of pennies. And then how many quarters for change, how many dimes for change, how many nickels for change. All right, guess what? Those are my variables. Now, in this with no Python here, I've worked out my algorithm, not all the details of it. I've worked out my variables that I need. Now I've got the starting of just the part of the program to do change. And what I would do to start with is I would actually do something like, to start, don't even ask for any input. Let's say, let's make change for 90 cents. Let's fix that. And then initialize some variables. Don't call them Q, D, and N because, well, you need Q, D, and N down here. We need to keep them straight, and you need better variable names than that. But now I know at least how many variables that I need, and I probably have something in terms of my Booleans. And so I can initialize my variables. I can actually initialize all my variables, and then I can write some while loops that involve my algorithm, and then at the end I can print out these guys. And now your challenge is, now we've solved the problem or a big part of it. Now the challenge is, can I write that code? And if you could write the code that does this just for C equals 90, now you've got the core of the program. And yes, there's things to wrap around it, like we have an outer loop and so on. But a lot of that goes into this program that we give you. So this, we give you this to start with. And so all this good stuff that I just talked about there, almost all of it goes in there. Maybe some of your initializations will go up ahead of here. And in this, I actually give you a while loop just because it involves strings. And but a while loop, we set some value initially. There's my Boolean that's controlling it. And we do that before the loop, and then at the bottom of the loop, we then get that value again. And so for most of the good stuff you'll be filling in there, and of course there'll be some cleanup stuff afterwards, print and so on that you have to do. Now, what's this stuff up here? Well, this is optional, right? And after you think you have the code working, you can uncomment this here. And then combine this with this run file program that you have, and you can actually run the test case that we're going to run uh, on your code before you submit it, or I mean after you submit it. That's where we're going to start with the grading. And so you can actually test it just the way that we're going to test it. And if you pass that, if you get the same output, then you actually know that some of the points that you'll get automatically on the project. So this is optional, but it gives you a chance to test your program and get it just right. It's the last thing you do. Right? You can do some testing. You should do some testing along the way. But when you're all done, run this test, and and you'll know how you're doing. Now, there's a lot of other stuff with this project, but the core of it, I just outlined for you. So, with that, good luck.